It's a very exciting time for multirotors in this hobby, as more companies start to push the envelope on the products that they release. With the recent boom in multirotor aircraft, the options can be a little overwhelming when first starting out. You wonder which airframe to use, which motors, which flight controller, what ESCs, etc. And that's just a few things that you really have to choose from. DJI has already been making great strides in the multirotor world. As they recognize this, they developed the DJI Phantom. It's a true ready-to-fly quad rotor loaded with high-tech gadgets that will get both the beginner and advanced pilot in the air and having fun in a very short period of time. Complete with a transmitter, the Phantom boasts a plethora of gizmos to help guide your Phantom through the air, including a GPS, a magnetic compass, a barometer, accelerometer, and 3-axis gyro, all of which are already assembled, programmed, and ready for you to fly. As an extra bonus, the Phantom also includes its own GoPro camera mount, which opens the door to a whole other aspect of RC flying, aerial video. I got my first glance at the Phantom as a prototype in an RC forum, and that then directed me to DJI's site. After reading more about it, I was very impressed by the technology used, and I became extremely curious to try one out. The first thought that I had when I received the Phantom was that if Apple were to make a quad, it would probably look like this. There's nothing wrong with that, it's just an observation. So now I'll take a minute to explain some of the features of the Phantom. At minimum, it's a very fun quadricopter to fly. At the other extreme, it's a self-stabilizing aerial video platform that can achieve amazing results right out of the box. The Phantom is powered by DJI's NASA M flight controller. The NASA M in itself is a remarkable piece of hardware. This flight controller has already been available from DJI since before the Phantom, though this version in the Phantom has been tuned specifically for it. First and foremost, it features a 3-axis gyro. This is the absolute minimum to get your quad in the air. The Phantom also features an accelerometer, which helps it determine when it's moving so it can give feedback to the motors. On top of that is a barometer, which lets the Phantom know if it's climbing or descending. There's also a magnetic compass to help it navigate to help it navigate during a failsafe condition, which I'll explain later. Finally, it features a GPS module mounted under the top canopy of the Phantom, allowing it to hold its position without any pilot input, as well as aid in navigation. The Phantom has a pretty sophisticated failsafe feature. Best case scenario is that you've started out with a 6 plus satellite link for at least 8 seconds before you take off. This lets the Phantom record its home position. In a nutshell, if the Phantom enters failsafe mode, it will literally fly back to where it started and land. If you don't have a good satellite fix, so less than 6, the Phantom will simply descend where it is and attempt to land. It will do this regardless of which flight mode you were in when you entered failsafe. If that wasn't enough, the Phantom has an exterior status LED which communicates to the pilot using different colors and flashes the current condition of the Phantom. Speaking of LEDs, the Phantom features an array of LEDs under the arms, allowing the pilot to fly at night. These navigation lights also provide a reference for orientation during the day. With all of that technology on board, the Phantom offers the pilot several flight modes. First, there's GPS ATTI, which is ATTI. In this mode, the Phantom utilizes all of its onboard tech to aid the pilot in flying. As the Phantom initializes and warms up, the GPS module scans for satellites and sets its home position where it is currently sitting. This requires more than 6 satellites to be located by the Phantom, and it communicates the number it can see through the status LED. This mode requires very little input from the pilot, and once you take off, you can let go of the sticks and the Phantom will basically hold itself locked into position awaiting your command. The throttle stick has to be centered for it to hold its position, otherwise it will continue to climb or descend as commanded. If you're traveling in a direction and simply let go of the stick, the Phantom will self-stabilize and hold its position. There's also ATTI mode, ATTI. In this mode, the Phantom will do all of the above except it will not use the GPS. This means it will still keep itself level, but if you let go of the right stick, it will continue to drift in the direction it was going under momentum. The advantage to this mode is that you can achieve smoother flight, because the Phantom isn't constantly adjusting the motors the way it does in GPS mode. The failsafe action in this mode is simply to descend and land, so it won't return to home. Of course, there's manual operation as well, so out of the box the Phantom does not have a manual mode. However, using the NASA Assistant software that you can download, you can assign manual mode to one of 2 ATTI switches on the transmitter. This will shut off most of the Phantom's automation, allowing it to be flown more aggressively by more experienced RC pilots. There's also Intelligent Orientation Control, or IOC, which I'm not a fan of. There's two different IOC modes, course lock and home lock. To use either of these modes, you must have a good satellite fix with 6 or more satellites and be in GPS ATTI mode. This is a great feature for new pilots, but it was difficult for me to master as an experienced pilot. In home lock, regardless of which way the nose is pointed, when you push the right stick forward, the Phantom will move away from you, and vice versa when pulling the stick back. If you hold the stick left or right, the Phantom will circle around you in that direction. In course lock, the forward direction is recorded as the direction the Phantom is pointed when the course lock is engaged. You can then rotate or yaw the Phantom left and right while keeping the Phantom on its original trajectory, using forward on the right stick. Left and right will send the Phantom left and right in relation to the recorded forward direction. Colin Gwynn, the CEO of DJI North America, has put together some great videos explaining all of these modes, which can be found on DJI's website and doing a simple search on YouTube. It's pretty awesome when you see the CEO of a company actually doing tutorial videos for their products. The NASA M Assistant, which is available from DJI's website, it's actually software that you download that can be used to program the NASA M flight controller on board the Phantom. Tucked away in the battery compartment is also a USB cable, and using the included extension cord you can hook the Phantom up to your computer. Using the Assistant software you can update the firmware on the NASA M controller as it becomes available. The NASA M is already configured for the Phantom, so no changes are necessary. However, more advanced users can tweak these settings to get the type of performance that they want. The software is used to set basic aircraft type, gyro gains, and to assign switches. There's also a monitor so you can see which switches do what. You can use the software to assign a manual flight mode to one of the ATTI switches on the transmitter, as I mentioned earlier. Manual mode is definitely not for beginners, so only try this if you know what you're doing. The NASA M has a secret hidden feature in it. It's not really secret, but that being a 2-axis gimbal output. The more industrious pilots, you can actually retrofit a camera gimbal to their Phantom and use the NASA M as the controller, so you can pan and scan with your camera. In conclusion, the Phantom is everything it claims to be and more. One thing that I hadn't contemplated was just how hooked I have now become and how I want to modify it. The Phantom is a one-stop shop for getting new and experienced pilots in the air, shooting video or doing FPV in very little time. The amount of technology under the hood of the Phantom is staggering, and this is coming from an experienced RC heli pilot who is no stranger to 3-axis gyros. The ease with which the Phantom flies is very comforting, knowing that the Phantom can take care of itself if you let go of the sticks. This is a major confidence booster for new pilots and a creative release for more experienced pilots. With its small size, the Phantom is easy to take almost anywhere, so you can just kind of throw it in the trunk or in the back seat of the car and take it out for some quick flying.